the thunder, keep the sorrow, painted a different color. The younger, dead, slightly deeper, paycheck smaller. Goddamn, I need a teacher. Rock me, daddy, I'm still a kid. The ways to you are also very different. Beauty in the broken American moment. Rock me, daddy, happiness ain't free. See where
You describe Terms of Surrender as a wandering record.
Mm-hmm.
Part apology, part plea. Can you define that away from the PR side of things?
Well, wandering because it was made in many different places, and my life in the past probably 10 years or so has been a wandering one, just because of what I do for a living. And I wanted the record to reflect that to me. I'm not sure how it I'm not sure whether it manifests to listeners, but to me, this is a record that reminds me of different places that I mean, the record was recorded in several different places, and when we were conceiving of how to make it, I had a list of a long list of cities that meant something to me that I would like to work in, and we kind of narrowed it down to just a few. Let's see here. And in terms of, a lot of this record is me talking to my family and to my kids. I spend a lot of time away from them. So, my kids are still relatively young, so, they're not really listening to my music, let alone listening for whatever coded messages might be on it. But I'm hoping that someday, should they care to, they can go back and, when they're older, listen to these records, or this record in particular, and have a little insight into what I was up to and how I was feeling about
20 years' time. You'll be writing something like, get out of the house, get a job.
Well, that would mean
why did you quit college?
Yeah, that would mean my son was 30. I don't know that I want him living at home when he's 30. But who knows what kind of society we're going to be living in 20 years. We may all be living on under lockdown and in compounds. So.
Rock me, daddy, happiness ain't free. I see where you're at, I know you can see me. Beauty in the broken American moment.
You said when you write, you have to be in an emotional state. You have to feel vulnerable.
Uh-huh.
How does that come across in the actual nuts and bolts of playing the guitar and writing lyrics?
I usually don't finish a song unless I feel that there is a core vulnerability to it. And it's not very calculated. It's more that if it doesn't feel like a song is communicating something, then it's not going to be interesting to me. I have to feel like every time I play the song, I'm able to learn or reflect on something or feel something. You know what I mean? So, I have hundreds of half-finished songs that, started as an interesting idea, but they never really got to the place. I'm much more interested in gut emotion than I am in terms of my own music that I make, than I am anything that's like highly technical or cerebral. I love art of all different types, but I'm most drawn to the stuff that that shows its vulnerability in some way.
You go back to one of these sketches of songs that you've written earlier. Do you find emotionally you might be in a different position when you revisit something? Yeah,
but I still recognize myself in the songs, even if I'm a different person. I still generally find the music compelling.
Oh, love your brother now. It's a strange gift, baby. Yeah, you know me better than I know myself. Well, I'm trying to repay you all these miles that I roam. When I'm far away, babe, know that I love you and sing this little song. One was a lonely number two. You were born under three. It was lightning quick. You lit up the house like a matchstick. Four, child, you're a wonder. Held me tight when the world went under. Five, sweetheart.
I wondered if you ever hid yourself inside a third-person character in the songs, or is it always on show as autobiographical?
No, it's not always autobiographical. There's lots of stuff that is embellishment or, poetic, stretching or changing just because it's going to make a line or a something more compelling. But it is complicated maybe because I'm not so much of a narrative songwriter. I mean, there's a narrative to me. I know what all these songs, I see where all these songs came from. So there's always a narrative to me, but I am aware that, I'm not writing songs that start the story with the first verse and end it with the last verse. It's just not how I work. There are people that are so good at that, and that's not really what I'm interested in creating myself. I am a big fan of poetry, and I feel like, there are vignettes, snapshots, feelings, sort of abstract impressions in a lot of my favorite poetry, and that is something that I kind of strive for, is to conjure a feeling.
I loved Whip.
Oh, thanks.
It just sounds, it sounds like, let's distort kind of the guitars, psychedelic guitars, that harmonica, let's distort that. It sound, I don't know if that was willful or just letting everybody go in whatever direction. But
well, a lot of my music is also, I feel like I want it to be in some way a reminder of how boundary pushing and progressive what we all think of as traditional American music can be. So we wouldn't be distorting the harmonica like that if those of us that are all working together weren't aware of Slim Harpo and who else? Who's the guy that played with Muddy Waters? Little Walter. You know what I mean? Like,
you have that in your tradition.
It's part of the tradition, and so the question becomes: how do you incorporate these things that are woven into the fabric of American music? How do you incorporate these things and make them sound like they're in the service of the future, not the past? I'm not interested in making records that, even though I feel like the language that I use is I'm drawing on stuff that is sort of old, but those artists, they weren't trying to copy what people had done 50 years before. So like Little Walter, when he was amplifying his harmonica, he wasn't doing it because he had heard someone else do it 50 years before and he wanted to evoke that time. He was doing it because it sounded like nothing he'd ever heard before.
Stop chasing it. I was tired of the wind. Don't you get it? No, it'll change you. I never change.
It always has to feel fresh to me, you know. So when we were putting together a song like Whip, we were trying to do it in a way that felt fresh, like something that nobody would have heard before, or something felt new or something, and then I can say, well, Little Walter did that. He approached the harmonica like that too. Slim Harpo did too. You know, it's all just like one big river.
And it's that melting pot of,
it is.
Of things pulled from different
It is,
areas.
and it really like kind of distorts time in a way. I just think like, why not make it more complicated and confusing and fun? Like make your records that people, if they will give them the time, will continue to go back to and hear new things. And, you know, I could go back and listen to those later Talk records every week for the rest of my life and hear new things and be confused about what it is, where they were, you know, where they were getting their information and influences from. But to me, that confusion that's the greatest part of being a music listener. I don't want things to be easy. I want things to be complicated.